Before I introduce our guest speaker today, let me just take a minute and remind you of a couple of upcoming important ElderQuest events. The main thing that's on our mind right now is our seminar on April 5th at UVU. This promises to be a lovely day with former Governor Herbert, Kyle Reyes from UVU, UVU ballroom dancers, Polynesian dancer, and a wonderful, not just a lunch, a banquet done by the UVU Culinary Arts. Tickets will only be available through next Monday. So please make sure, if you haven't bought your ticket yet for $25, please come see one of us, the officers, after this class or anytime this week. We'll make sure you get a ticket. And then we would like to also make sure that you're aware of our ElderQuest. First of all, I'll talk a little, Friday movie this week, Merry Wives of Windsor. That should be great, especially interesting to those of us who are studying that in Shakespeare this semester. And we have a great ElderQuest day trip. That's not a day trip, it's an evening trip. And it will be on Tuesday, April 19th. So put that on your calendars if you have joined to come. It's Utah Symphony at the Nordic Center. The program is Sherlock Holmes and the Case of the Missing Maestro. There will be a bus coming to pick us all up because parking is limited. The bus will be at the Orem Senior Center at 6:30 that evening. So make sure you're there to catch the bus. If you haven't signed up and would still like to go to the symphony, the bus is no longer available, it's full, but you can go to the symphony. I think the tickets for just the symphony are $12.80, and the money is payable to Fran Reiser, and her text number is there. So we hope that you will come and join us for that also. Okay. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest for today. Our guest today is Leonard Bagalwa. And I love the fact that when he sent me his bio, he started that bio with the things that I know are most important to him, and that's his family. He is married to what a beautiful wife, Best Bagalwa, and they have 4 children, 3 girls, 1 boy, and another addition expected. Leonard completed his undergraduate education in public and community health education, and then went on to get his MBA at Utah Valley University. He has over 8 years experience working with refugees in Utah and has served on the boards of multiple nonprofit organizations. Leonard is the founder and former president of UVU African Club, a club that absolutely transformed the perception of Africa in the eyes of the local community and the entire state of Utah. Leonard is the founder and the executive director of the Utah Valley Refugees Association. He is committed to maximizing the positive impact he can make in the world to bless many individuals. He believes that his personal experiences and the work that he does can empower people and transform lives. He has been recognized for his humanitarian work. He's received multiple awards, the Utah Business Living Color and the Utah Freedom Festival Awards, along with many more. In his younger life, as he is going to share with us, he was kidnapped and used as a child soldier. He eventually was able to escape and found himself in a refugee camp in Malawi. After 7 years in that refugee camp, Leonard was able to resettle in the United States. He has a powerful story. I'm looking forward to hearing it, and we will turn the time now over to Leonard Bagalwa.
I'll take the mask. Are you guys okay with that? Yeah. Okay, I'll take the mask off. If the mask and my accent, it will be hard for you to hear me. Okay. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm very grateful to be in front of you today to kind of share my life experience with you, as well as answer any questions you may have. As I was introduced, my name is Leonard Bagalwa, and I was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo in a small village called Luinja. My mother and my father, they're both still alive, and we were 6 in my family, and now we are 4 living. So 2 passed away, which we're gonna talk about in a small movie we're gonna see after. And I speak multiple languages. I can go up to 12. Don't ask me to start talking. So that's why when I'm speaking, if you don't hear what I said, please interrupt me and I can repeat myself. Sometimes I can jump in multiple language when I'm speaking. So that's who I am. So if you know, sometimes when we're talking about Africa, we kind of see just one huge giant country, but Africa is actually have 58 countries, different countries, and the Democratic Republic of Congo is in the Central Africa. So it used to be called Belgium Congo. You probably will know about that. And we got independence in 1996. And since that time until now, we will never have peace. So always there have been trouble one another, and up to now. So in 1994, if you remember the genocide in Rwanda, so we Congo, at the time the country was called Zaire, Congo received so many refugees from Rwanda to my country. And as I was from the east, we shared the border with Rwanda. So in 1995, things start being confusing. Don't know what exactly is happening. So you will see children go to school, they don't come back, either they died or either they kidnapped them. You will see like people in the community are disappearing one by one. Things was completely confused. And in 1996, so things come tough and everyone is asking questions and no one is talking about it on the radio. It's just that way. And in 1997, that's the time I left Congo. Again, the story I'm telling here is to let you know why, the reason why I left Congo. So in 1997, I was coming from school, and we just saw the pickup truck from the military people with uniform, and they just packed all of us in the car. So I was at the time I was 17 years old, and they took us to jail where we couldn't speak to anyone, nothing. So we're kind of being brainwashed up over there in order for us to support the movement. So why is that happening in 1997? So the government of Rwanda decided to invent Congo, like the same thing that is happening in Ukraine right now. So they decided to invent Congo, and in the name of they are following those refugees from Rwanda, because they believed that they were reorganizing to go fight back. So, but that wasn't only the story, because Congo is very rich in natural mineral resource and things. So when the soldiers from Rwanda came to Congo, they just found out how rich the country was, so they didn't want to go back, and they end by deciding to go to the city capital and change the regime of Mobutu Sese Seko at the time. So when we were kidnapped and we were put in jail, and every morning we are beaten, and then after that they're taken into a class, kind of say, hey, this is the reason why you are here, you must support us. So in my country, because of the horrible things this rebel people did, no one supported them. They killed a lot of people, and no one could support them because of the situation, the horrible things they made in my country. So after a few days, 7 days, they took us to a different city in the island called Ijwi, where we were training as a military to fight on their behalf. So in one word, I was a child soldier. I was 17 years at the time. So when we were training in the military training camp, I was very small and very skinny and short, and one thing I hate in my life is hearing the sound of gun, so I could not shoot. So normally people who were in my situation, all other children were in my situation, were either killed or disappear. We don't know what was happening to them. So for me, I was the lucky one, and this is where the miracle happens. And in my story, sometimes there is sadness and there is miracle, and that's why I tell people that do not feel sad. It was a calling I had without knowing. Our Heavenly Father was preparing for the way for me to be, and was preparing for me to be doing what I'm doing today without even knowing it. So instead of me being killed because I couldn't shoot, I couldn't do anything. So one guy, when they were trying to make a decision what to do with me, they said, this kid, he's too smart. We can use him for some other things. So instead of training me as a military, they trained me as a spy. So my role was, when we go back in town, so I have to identify all the other kids or family that doesn't support the rebels. And I was trained that way. After 6 months of training, we were told we need to go back home. And when I was told to go back home, that's the time I heard a voice telling me, when we went to the other side of the water at the dock, I heard the voice telling me, run. And I didn't know the place I was. Like, run to go where? I don't know. So the voice kept becoming strong. Run, run, run. So I had to run. When I ran, I walk home. The movie, we're gonna watch a movie later on, gonna explain a little bit more. I will kind of be short and for the time. So when I ran, I went to the bush. When I went to the bush, I met pygmies, and pygmies helped me how to get back home, told me how to get back home. So I walked home, and when I got home, I knocked on the door. Knocking on the door, my mother opened the door, looked at me, slapped the door back 3 times, and then I yelled, "This is me, your son. Why you have to do this to me? I worked more than 6 days. Come home, now you're slamming the door on me. Are we supposed to be a celebration?" Back and opened the door. I told me to sit on the couch. And when I sat down, she went in her room. She brought a wrapper. So a wrapper, we call it is a traditional dress women wear back home. And she told me, let's go. I'm like, where are we going? I'm not going anywhere. She's like, I cannot afford to have you here because your two brothers are in the morgue right now. The rebels came yesterday looking for them, for you, and your brother wanted to fight back and they shot them. They are in the morgue, so I'm not gonna lose you. Let's go. Where are we going? I don't know. So it took within a minute, my mother took me to the Catholic church. The Catholic church say, oh, we already know they are looking for you. You cannot stay here. Just sit up over there. Within a minute, the Catholic church, the priest put me in their car, smuggled me out of the country, and I found myself in Malawi, where I lived in the refugee camp, and I came to the United States in 2004. So, in the United States, life haven't been easy. So I'll talk about that before we watch the movie. So life haven't been easy. Imagine yourself, someone from the refugee camp in the third world country to the first world country in the big city like Salt Lake City. So life wasn't easy for me. One things here we take for granted here is what other people struggle with. Like we might see like we switching off the light is easy for us to do, but that's things I would struggle for one person would struggle with. One thing I struggled with was cooking, putting on the stove. That was the hardest things for me. I struggled going in the bathroom. That was the other issue I had. So one day I was walking and I met a guy. He was in the army. Dimona may know him up over there, but we're not gonna say names because we are on the camera. He was in the army. He was a UVU student. And he told me, I asked him like, I'm looking for a small place because he spoke French. He was from Mali. A small I can live and at least related to where I come from. He told me to move to Person. And I went to Person, but Person is not a village. It's a big city. And so I struggled and I ended by moving back to Provo. And in Provo, I became a homeless at Provo Library. And that was in 2006. That's the time they were renovating Provo Library, if you remember the time. And I became homeless up over there. One night, again, I'm sleeping. I had a strong voice telling me again, Leonard, ask for help. If you do not ask, no one will help you. And in the morning, wake up, I just saw a couple parking in the parking lot in the back of the library. I followed them, old couple, followed them and yelling, I need help, I need help. They told me like, hey, you need help. I had their wife say, Doug, this man need help. So they stood up and I went close to them. I need help with my broken English at the time. And they said, how can we help you? And I said, well, I'm a refugee from Congo and I'm a homeless, so I need help. They're like, well, we are in a hurry. So here's our phone number, if you can call us. That was Saturday. So I couldn't call them on Saturday. I called them and Sunday I couldn't call them. So I called them on Monday when the library was open. So when I went to when I spoke to them, the man picked up the phone and said like, yeah, we were thinking about you. How do you feel? Come and live with us. And I'm like, yes, I will. So imagine a strange person who don't know you. Normally, even me, when I met a homeless person, I'm scared sometimes because I don't know why they are up over there. But this person wasn't scared of me. So he wasn't scared of taking me in his house. So I had to go live with him in South Jordan, just behind the Jordan Temple. There's a complex they call a Cornerstone. That's where I lived. And so when I lived with them, they taught me how to milk cows because they were farmers. They had cows in Draper and they had houses in Bluffdale, and I learned how to milk cows. I learned how to do a lot of things over there. And then when I after a year, I moved back to Orem, and that's how I ended by going to school. So those couple, they paid my tuition when I was going to school. That's where I know Sister Anderson. So we know each other for a long time. She helped me at UV a lot. She can tell that. And so I got a bachelor's degree in public health, and that was in 2011. And I went back to get my master's degree actually last year in 2020. So I got my master's degree as well. So before we watch the movie, I want you to know that our Heavenly Father, He always on our side, no matter what situation we are in. Sometimes as human, we always give up. We always say like, hey, look, why this is happening to me? Why me? Why this? But one thing I know is that once our Heavenly Father is on your side, nothing will move you. He knows who we are since we were born up to now until we pass on. He knows us. He knows why we are here. He had a mission for us, and all of us, and we have to do that. So all these things was happening to me, and I didn't even go much into details. What happens from Congo to Malawi? That's almost 5 countries with no passport. Okay, just walking, no money. So all those things, a lot of things happened up over there. But the hand of our Heavenly Father was on my side. Nothing happened to me. So with all of those things happened, I did not do anything special. I wasn't special. I did not even think of, because I was living in survival mode every day. Like, wake up, go, where are you going? We don't know. Just like that. Not even think of kneeling down and pray. That wasn't even in my things. But because our Heavenly Father knew that I had a calling to do when I come to the United States, that's why He made me arrive in this country. So when I graduated with my bachelor's degree, I was looking for a job. And I went back to these people who helped me. I asked them, now I'm done. What can I do to help you? Because they were an old couple. And they told me, we know what you can do for us. And I was waiting for them to tell me big things, the things that I cannot do. They told me that, go out over there and help others. And I was like, help others? Like, where? So I came back home, I prayed, and the first job I applied was to work for the refugees, help refugees in Salt Lake City to get access to medical. So that was the job I got, and I'm still at that job today. So I have 2 jobs, so you know. And when I was doing case management for refugees in Salt Lake City, I found out that what refugees are going through right now is the same things I went through. The question was, how come all these years people are still going through the same things? And I used my own personal experience. What can I do to help? Every time I come home, I'm stressed. My wife is like, hey, leave your work stress out of there. Don't bring it in here. Every day stressed. And she was so mad. And one day she was really mad, seriously mad, and she yelled at me. And I'm like, this woman never yelled at me. What's going on here? She's like, go do something. And I'm like, do something like what? So like, just go do something. I know you can do it. And I went to bed and sleep and pray and come back to work and start thinking of like, what can I do to help people? So I found out that what refugees are missing are these small things, the same small things I missed. I've been looking for a small place that looks like my village. I've been looking the place where I can do what we used to do back home, where I don't have to switch the light. When I go in the bathroom, I don't have to open the door here. I have to walk a mile over there. So those are the things I was looking for, but I couldn't get them. How to take the bus, how to do my doctor's appointment. Those were small things I was looking for. And those were the same things refugees were missing. So I went to the refugee agencies that brings refugees here. And I told them, like, hey, this is the situation we are actually going through. And they said, well, that sounds like a good idea, but there is no money to cover all that. No, we cannot get a grant to just giving people's ride. We cannot get a grant just be doing doctor's appointment for people. So it's a good idea, but it's hard for us to do. So that's the time I come up with something called MEET. So motivate, educate, empower, and transform. And motivate. Most refugees like me have lost motivation. They need someone who can inspire them again. They need someone who can put them back and say, hey, you are a human. And that's what I did. I didn't have until I found Douglas Day, who took me to his house, and Josephine Day. So those were my people who empowered me, who made me again believe in myself and trust myself. So we also need to educate these people. Learning language is the big deal. And that's why we focus on education. We also help with medical, of course, any human need, we kind of help. And in 2016, we opened an organization called Utah Valley here in Provo. And since then, from 2016 up to now, we've been able to help 180 families. Yeah, actually, I'm working with the Solek Aging department to see if we can have some, because we have some aging population here in Utah County that may need your service here. So that's what we're doing. We're helping so many people. So now, for the time, before we watch the movie, and we will leave some time for you for questions after the movie, Heavenly Father, He always knows who we are. He always have a calling for each and every one of us, and it's up to us to do those calling. My calling, I didn't know it, but my calling goes along with my mother's calling. When I was a little child, my mother used to tell us, never, never leave someone and you have the way to help without helping them. Used to tell us, never eat, no matter how much small you have on yourself, and you know your neighbor is hungry. I used to fight my mother. Why we have to share our small food every time? Why we have to do this? But she always told me this: the small things you eat yourself, it will not be enough for you. But if you share with someone and you drink a cup of water, you will never be hungry anymore. That's what she used to tell us. I did not understand that as a young man. I did not get it, what she was trying to teach me. She used to tell me that everywhere you go, you must understand that you will not live with me forever. Everywhere you go, people you meet, those are your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandfather, your uncle, your brother, your sister, your everything. You always need to respect them. You always need to know how to deal with people. And I didn't understand what all that meant. But when I left home, and if I'm alive today, it's because of you, it's because of those other people who helped me on my way here. And I always thank our Heavenly Father for guiding me and directing me and making me who I am today. Today, I'm a father, no matter what I went through. Today, I have 2 children, beautiful wife, as I was introduced, and I have a good job. I have a home. So I'm everything, just because of our Heavenly Father and your support. The United States is a blessed country. You guys have this good heart of welcoming strangers. And please, please, don't stop on me. Welcome those other strangers who need help. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. Now we're going to watch the movie. Yeah. And after we're going to ask questions. Yeah.
The story of the war the story of the war, the story of poverty, and the story of Africa. I belong to all of those. My name is Leonard Bagalwa, and I am originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo. When I was kidnapped, I was forced to join the military. I was brainwashed over there.
I was very small a kid, and I couldn't shoot. I hate guns, and that's the most things I hate in my life. Normally people who were opposing in that refugee camp, they were killed. Instead of training me as a military man, I had this strong voice telling me, run, Leonard, run. I ended by going to the bush where I met pygmies. Pygmies told me how to get back home. It took me 4 days to go back home, walking night and day. So when I went home, I knocked on the door, tell my mom to open for me. My mom opened, and when she saw me, she thought she saw a demon. She decided to close the door on me, and I keep knocking. She opened again 3 times, knocking, and I told her, that's me, your son. When she opened, she told me I cannot stay there. I asked her why. She told me, your 2 brothers right now are in the morgue. They were shot yesterday, they were killed. So those rebels came here looking for you. And I don't want to see anything like that. You have to leave. I told my mom, I'm not going anywhere. I work for 4 days to come home. I'm not going anywhere. Let me die here as well. And my mom went in her room, and she came up with her wrapper, and she said, let's go. And I don't know where we are going. So we entered the Catholic Church. When they saw me, they didn't ask me any question. They are like, we already know your story. You are all over the news. So a few minutes later on, they put me in the back of their car, and we went. I found myself, we were in Uvira, in the eastern side of Congo. A priest took me to the Lake Tanganyika. We put us in the boat, and they shipped us to Tanzania, and that's how I escaped. These things happened in a matter of hours. It's something that wasn't planned ahead, but God inspired people of how to help me, and that's how I left Congo.
When we went to Tanzania, they already organized somebody with a taxi to take us to the capital city. So we stayed in the hotel. After 2 days, the hotel manager came and said, your money is finished. So when we left, the priest gave me $100. We decided to go to the refugee camp in Malawi. So I'm talking about we here because I was with the other guy. We met in Uvira, Catholic priest were trying to smuggle out too, who had the same problem. He was a student and his name was Christian. When we went to the border of Malawi, we didn't have passport. And going over there, we met 2 guys. And those guys, they beat us. They just jumped on us and started beating us and tear off all the clothes we had. And so a few minutes later, I told Christian, I feel that we're going to die. And if we're going to die, it's better to die close to the road so that somebody can see our body. If we die here, then nobody will bury us. So Christian said, I am not going with you because your decision is putting me in trouble. So I'm not going with you. I'm gonna stay here. I'm like, okay. So I left. I went back to the road. I felt a strong spirit keep telling me, Leonard, go get Christian. Go get Christian. So I went back. I told Christian, we need to go. We need to get out of here. And with my strong voice, Christian decided to follow me. When we went back to the road, like within a minute, we saw a white car just come the other side. So I had to raise my hand. I'm like, and the guy pulled over and started looking at us. Like, okay, so who are you? Are you human or animals? And I yelled, we are human in Swahili. We are human. So what he said was, poor my brother's Tanzanian. That's what he said in Swahili. I didn't understand. I didn't know what he meant by that. And he asked me, like, how can I help? And I told him the best way to help is to let us know where we can go. And he's like, I know where the refugee camp is in Malawi. So he took us to Malawi refugee camp after 3 hours of driving. So he gave us some clothes and he gave me a Bible. And that's the time he told me he was a pastor. So he left me up over there in the refugee camp in Malawi. In the refugee camp, life wasn't easy. When people hear about refugee camp, they think it's just a house. They don't understand what it means. There's a difference between refugees in the first world countries and in the third world countries. Malawi is the poorest country in the world. One day, I was walking like 6 a.m. I just had a voice calling me, Mirindi, not Leonard, Mirindi. And I'm like, who the heck knows me here? Who knows me by that name except my mother? I saw like a little guy came. He's like, Mirindi, you don't remember me? My name is Pascal. And I'm like, no, I don't remember. He's like, when we were a refugee from Rwanda, your mom came in the refugee camp and took us. And took us from the refugee camp and took you to your house. And I'm like, no, you guys died in 1996 when they came to destroy the refugee camp. It's like, no, we survived. We're all alive. And my father wanna see you. And I'm like, how did your father know I'm here? He's like, my father is in charge of this refugee camp. So he took me to his home. I met his father. Yes, I didn't know the child, but I remember the father. And the father told me two things. I can help you the way you want. I can get you a job, or I can get you out of this refugee camp. And I'm like, please get me out of this refugee camp. I was born a Christian. I was always praying to get help, and that's how he ended by helping me get out of the refugee camp. After I arrived here in the United States, the hard thing was the culture. So imagine from the third world country to the village to the first world country in a town, big city like Salt Lake City. I did not know English. I did not learn English in school. So in the Provo area, that's where I got a job at Provo Cemetery. And my shift was at midnight. And I asked my supervisor, why can't we do this any other time? He said, no, he was from Brazil. It was a cleaning company. And he said, no, that's the shift we have. If you want it, take it or not. So anyway, I take it because I didn't have choice. And I was paid $7 at the time. Sometimes when you kneel down, you're gonna take the dead flower, the dry flower out of the grave, I will feel like something is pulling my hair back, which even I don't even have hair. I'll feel like somebody's pulling it because I'm scared. I had to call this guy from Kenya like every night, like if you don't hear my voice, please call 911. So when I quit my job, I ended by being homeless. And I was homeless at Provo Library. So after a week, I heard a strong voice, Leonard, this is not what brought you to America. You can do better than this. You need to ask help. If you don't ask, no one will help you. You need to ask for help. On Saturday morning at 6 a.m., I woke up with my staff just walking around. Around 7-ish, I saw somebody pull the car in the back of the library. I saw like one couple come out of the car, and I followed, I kept yelling, I need help, I need help. And the wife heard me yell, and then she yelled to her husband like, Doug, can't we help this young man? So I said, I am homeless. I'm a refugee from Congo, and I'm homeless. And he's like, oh yeah, we have met a lot of people from Congo. We served the mission in South Africa. We can help, but we are in a hurry right now. Here's my business card. I didn't have a phone to call them on Sunday. And on Monday, I went to the library and asked the phone. I called them, like, oh yeah, we were thinking about you. Can you come live with us? I'm like, yes. So I went to live with them in South Jordan. Over there, I learned how to milk cows, and because they were farmers, and I learned how to do a lot of things. And after a year, I moved again back to Orem. So one day they came to visit me. They brought me a check of $10,000 and a car. And I told them I don't want the money. He paid all my tuition for 5 years. I asked him, I'm now done with school, what can I do to pay you back? That's what I told him, and he's like, I know what you can pay me back. Go out over there and help other people. Who are those people I'm going to help? I don't know them. So I come home, I prayed, and I felt good to look a job into the refugee organization. And the first job I applied is the same job I'm still on today. I work with a small company called Health Access Project. We partner with the Department of Workforce Service to provide health care to refugees. We partner with Intermountain, partner with university or hospital. Doing case management for refugees over there, I found out that the same problem I had when I came in this country is still the same problem refugees are having. Refugees' needs are just small education, helping them, like teaching them how to do things on their own, not giving them free stuff, showing them how to take a bus, showing them how you do your doctor's appointment, how you do your job interview, how you keep your job, how do you talk to people, like English, ABC. Those are the things refugees need. So I decided, like, I'm gonna use my personal experience to help other people. I started putting all the legal paper together, and today we have an organization called Utah Valley Refugees. We have been able to help more than 100 families. And among those 100 families, 5 families already bought a home. Refugees are people who they need motivation. The best way to help people is to be their friend, because when you are my friend, you're close to me. And when you're close to me, you're gonna know me, how to help me better. You might think money is what they need, but the reality, they need some other guidance. And that guidance you give them can change their lives. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible if you believe it and you can do it. Life is not hard here compared to the refugee camp. If you made it from the refugee camp, you can make it here. I have been seeing refugees who are doing good as long as they are oriented at first. I lost 2 brothers, and that makes me sad every time. The other thing is home is home. Home is home. I miss it. Even if the situation we were living, even if we were poor, the condition I was living in, I still miss it. I feel blessed, and I feel successful, and I call myself the most successful refugees in this country. I came here like 15, 16 years ago. I own a home. Okay? I have a good job. I have a family. I have a degree. With all these things happen to me. Leonard Bagalwa, and this is my story.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry it was a long movie, but I guess you enjoyed it.
I have a question, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious if you have had an opportunity to get back in touch with your mother back home. Is she still alive?
Yes, my mother's alive, and she's the most happiest and beautiful woman you've ever seen. She feels that she's a king, and she feels that she have done her work. So she's alive. Yes.
You learned a lot of wisdom from her.
I did. Yes. Yes. And that's what I tell all the children: learn from your mother.
Said that you didn't do anything special. You didn't do anything special. And I think you did. The thing special you did, you didn't feel like a victim. You decided to charge ahead. So you did something special.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Yes, I do feel, I do not feel that I'm a victim for sure. I do feel that the Heavenly Father the way he wanted. Sometimes we need to go through something in order to learn something. If I didn't go through this, maybe I shouldn't be alive today. So I thank you for that positivity. Thank you.
I have a question for you, but first I want to congratulate you for doing all that you did and succeeding in so many ways. He represents a lot of my students. That Elder Quest has helped in the past with scholarship funding, and everybody go to that scholarship luncheon and buy tickets, because this is the result. Part of what we do is to reach out to students who need help and give scholarships at UVU. And he's one of many that, especially the international refugees, they work harder than anybody I know from here, because they know how wonderful it is to have these opportunities. But I've been curious ever since you spoke and I saw the movie, how did you eat during those 4 days going to Malawi? What did you find to keep alive and energized?
Well, thank you for that question. That's a very good question. When I run away, meet the pygmies, that was very interesting time for me. Meeting pygmies. I never met a pygmy before. That was my first time. If you know pygmy, they live in the bush, or they eat is bush meat and all the type of things. Yeah, they give me some interesting meat. So when you smell it, it smells horrible. But when you know that you don't have any other choice, just have to eat it, right? So that's how I survived in those 4 days. Then when on all those ways, we just lived by just begging people, just asking people to give you something. I remember in the border of Malawi and Tanzania, when we begged people to give us food, but they couldn't, so we had to jump in the bush. I remember my friend, I was with Christian, chasing a rat, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I feel like I'm gonna die here." I'm like, "You don't want to die. Just you won't die. Just relax. Leave the rat go." So that's how we lived. So there's so many things that happened up over there where sometimes you need to leave it as a history and just move on. So the most important right now for me is to count how many blessings I have. And yeah, but that's a very good question. There is so many things that happened. Sometimes we don't even have to think back. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to let you know that we have something in common.
Thank you.
I worked a whole summer at the Provo Cemetery.
Oh, really?
And sometimes had to be there at night to make sure that the irrigation was working properly.
Yeah, same job. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I like that. Yes, yes. Actually, in the movie saying that I was calling the guy at midnight, right? That was his son-in-law's young brother. What's your name again, ma'am? Nancy Jeffries. Son-in-law's young brother I lived with. So we know that. So see how the world is too small. Yes, I feel you and I understand how that. Which company did you work for? Which company did you work for?
Provo City.
Provo City. Okay, me, I worked with a company called Arby's. Was a cleaning company. So at the time, yes, yeah.
Leonard,
Yes, ma'am.
can you tell us a little bit about your Utah Refugee Association and what kind of things that we can do to help?
Yes. So yeah, at Utah Valley Refugees, so we focus on 4 main things. So housing, as well as education. So we teach English class up over there 3 times a week. And we also have some young men and women we send to UVU as well as BYU to get higher education. So, but English is the most need for those old folks who can, like, learning is hard for them. As well as we focus on, we look for employment for people. So like if you know someone who can hire a refugee who doesn't speak well English and tolerate that, then yeah, that's the other way you can help. We also partner with different doctors to see refugees who are low income and uninsured, to see them free of charge. So we also recruit doctors to join our group. So if you know anyone, that's fine. Or if you speak multiple language, to translate for them as well, that will be another things you can do. For our housing program, have everything we do at my office is ABCD. So because we have to focus, we can say, okay, we're looking for housing, but when we bring a refugee here, number one we think about is home. They need a home and how they're gonna pay for it. So because they don't have a job, they don't have savings, they don't have nothing. So what we do is after we search for the home, once they get a home, so we also have a program called Refugee Family Alliance. So we go in the community, we like, okay, if you can bring together 5 different families in your community, we will give you 1 refugee family you can mentor. Okay, when you're mentoring them, you are integrating them in the culture. Also, we require for you, all your family, all your 5 family or 10 family, to come up with 50% of their rent. So to support them. So our goal is we're putting them into intense English class as well as searching for jobs. Our goal is for the first 3 months in the country here, they must have a job that pays for. So the organization will pay 50% and the community will pay 50% of their rent until they get their own job. So if they still need help, then we tell the community, okay, so now they can pay 50% themselves and the organization will pay for 50% for another 6 months, so that until they go to 150% poverty level. So that's how we kind of work in my organization. And that was the piece that was missing from all other organizations. So, and that's the reason why we have helped the 180 family. We only have 32 family on our program right now, and most of them have moved. We have homeowners, we have people who are in the military. So that's the way, a different way you can help. We have a brochure up over there, kind of explaining our program and service. So you're more than welcome to take one.
Leonard, I also put your website, utahvalleyrefugees.org, into the chat for the people at home.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
They can get more information there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, any other question? Any question? I'm okay, personal or yeah.
When refugees come here, can they automatically be given a job to work, or is that a problem? You know, I don't know if refugees need a green card or something like that.
Yeah, good question. Yes, when a refugee come here is legally allowed to work. So those who are being resettled by the resettlement agency from a refugee camp somewhere, they are allowed to work. When they come here, they give them what a temporary status called I-94, and then the I-94 is accompanied by a work permit, temporary work permit. And then after 1 year, they can apply for a green card, which allows them to work. And then after 5 years with a green card, they can apply for a US citizen. Yes, yes, they are allowed to work in one word, yes.
One question, have you been invited to Washington, DC?
Yes.
To explain this system that works, that
Yes.
isn't just a handout?
Yes.
And what do they say?
In 2018, I went to the White House for 2 reasons. Number 1 was to advocate for more refugees to come to the United States. And number 2 was to advocate for Medicaid expansion, especially in Utah. So I met with Senator Hatch and everyone up over there. And I told them Medicaid, why it is important to expand Medicaid in Utah, which we did expand finally. We expanded Medicaid in Utah now, just because of me. So yes, I spoke to them. Politicians have different way of seeing things. All they always bring up is expensive for us to do and this, which they don't understand is that you can do small things that are gonna turn into a big profit for the long run. So that's, they only see today, they don't see tomorrow. But we convince them, yes, yes.
Does DI help with jobs?
Sorry,
Does Desiree Industries, do they help you with jobs?
yes, yes, the
That's great.
DI, yes, we send people up over there, especially those who are kind of a little bit elderly, they cannot do any type of lifting job. Yes, we send them up over there and they get a job. DI have played a big role in our success here in Utah. Yes, yes, they work over there. Yes, yeah, they make a salary. Yes, they are paid. Yes, to work there. Yes. Yeah. So any other question? Okay.
If you have questions at home, please unmute your microphone and
Yes.
tell us your name and ask your question or make your comment.
Yes.
They're hesitant.
You can ask any question. I'm open. Any, no offense, any question. I'm open.
Oh, sorry. How about the children? Is there a way we can help with the children? Like those adults that are trying to look for jobs, if there's a way we could work with their children, you know, during the day with programs, art, music, something like that, that would be enhancing for them and help their parents?
Thank you for that question. Yes, and that's the biggest challenge we have right now, because children, when they go to school, they learn whatever they're gonna learn, they give homework at home, but the parents are not able to help. So yes, we need that help, and it's a huge need. Not only children, even the parents at home is a huge need. Yes, yes, we can use that, your help in that way.
I'm just curious, what was school like for you when you were a little boy in the village?
Well, I don't know if I've shared this story with you, but I never go to high school.
Elementary school, when you were a little boy?
I did elementary school, and I used to walk 2 hours to go to school. And
2 hours?
Yes, from school. Yeah.
Were there wooden floors in the school, or were you on the dirt like in Uganda schools?
Yeah, of course, yes. In the movie they didn't, anyway, this passed already, but yeah, it's interesting. And that's why when I hear someone complain here, I always say, if you knew what you have, you wouldn't complain. Yeah, so in the school, I don't have toy nails on my toy because I didn't have shoes to wear and things, so when you walk in school, like your foot there is not mud, but the dirt, the sand is like you're sitting on the little chair like that, and the dirt is here in your shoes. So when you come out of what you have is those small insects to bite your things, go in your toys, and that's how most kids over there loses toys and stuff. Nail toys. So that's how it is. So
You know, we shouldn't complain, but it is so nice to be able to complain whenever you want to and not feel that somebody is going to come and get you because you complained about something.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Yes, I went back in 2014. That's the first time I have been back home, and since then I've never been there. Yeah.
Don't they have quite a few children in school? The man you lived with, his mother was a principal, and I thought she told me that they would have as many as 55 children in a class at tables and things.
Well,
That was in Kenya.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It depends on where you are. because in a village, so kids are trained to go do mining so they can feed their family, like especially where I come from, because there's a lot of mining. And so some people are not going to school a lot over there. But yes, there were a lot of kids in my class, and yes, yeah, primary school usually most people finish primary school, but when it comes to high school, because they have to pay, they don't go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm curious about the beginning of your English education. Where did that, obviously you didn't have it when you were a kid.
Thank you. That's a very good question. So when I decided to go to school, when I told the people I was living with in South Jordan, I want to go to school. So they enrolled me in high school in South Jordan. And I was 24 years at the time. And I couldn't do it because kids are smart. And I was the oldest person over there, and I felt really bad. So I went back home and told them I'm not going back to school. So they took me to Sole Community College, where I applied. I wasn't accepted at Sole Community College. So I came at UVSC at the time, Utah Valley University, UVSC at the time. So, and they accepted me, but I had to take a compost test. I think. Yeah, that's how they used to do it. So I went to take the test. I took it 9 times in 6 months. So the 8 times, the 9th is the time I passed, and I started taking English 890, the beginning. So I didn't take ESL. But how did I do it is when I come, because the UVSC gave me materials to study. So I went home and I started asking friends like in church, as well as the grandkids for the people I was living with. So they start helping me. And that's how I end by passing that test. So the math class, I didn't do well. It wasn't Robert William, you know him, right? He used to be the math advisor. He's the one who helped me until I stopped doing things around. Yes, but that's the English I learned, and that's why I see I'm very poor in my English. I learn English from people, not from school. So I'm very, very poor in vocabulary, and yeah, that's how. Yes, it was a struggle, but I did it.
You're doing very well.
Thank you.
Have a gift for picking up the language because, well, you have a gift for the language, hearing the language and the little bits of pronunciation that are different for some of us, because I haven't heard a distinct difference in the pronunciation that you have.
Yes,
So
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce. I don't know how to, so I just say things. Sometimes I say I speak Franglais, not even English.
Speaking of language, I would love to hear you say something in your own native language and then interpret it for us. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay. Nawapenda sana. I love you so much.